Welcome back to the Founder's Code, where we dissect the stories of the world's most influential and sometimes infamous figures. Today, we're diving into the dark side of ambition, exploring the life of a man who built an empire on trust, only to bring it all crashing down. This is the story of Bernie Madoff and the $65 billion lie that fooled the world. Imagine a name so powerful on Wall Street that it became synonymous with success. Bernard L. Madoff wasn't just another financier. He was a titan, a former chairman of the Nasdaq Stock Exchange, a pioneer of electronic trading. To the outside world, he was the embodiment of the American dream. He started with a small investment firm in 1960 and, through sheer brilliance and what seemed like an uncanny ability to read the market, built a reputation as a financial wizard. He was the man with the Midas touch. His investment firm, Bernard L. Madoff Investment Securities, was the envy of Wall Street. It occupied 3 floors of the prestigious Lipstick Building in Midtown Manhattan, a symbol of its power and influence. But the real magic, the thing that drew everyone in, was happening on the mysterious 17th floor. This was the home of his exclusive wealth management business. Here, Madoff worked his miracles, promising something that sounded too good to be true: high, steady returns, year after year, regardless of market conditions. In a world of volatility, he offered certainty. He didn't promise to make you rich overnight. He promised something far more seductive: consistent, reliable growth. No dramatic peaks, but more importantly, no devastating valleys. He was selling security, and people bought it. Oh, did they buy it? His client list was a who's who of the global elite. Celebrities like Kevin Bacon, Kyra Sedgwick, and John Malkovich invested with him. Famed film director Steven Spielberg's charitable foundation, the Wunderkinder Foundation, was a client. So were prominent business leaders, respected banks, and even universities. It wasn't just the rich and famous, though. Madoff's scheme reached deep into communities, particularly Jewish country clubs and charities, where his reputation spread through word of mouth. He was trusted. He was one of them. People didn't just invest their money. They invested their faith in Bernie Madoff. They handed over their life savings, their retirement funds, their children's college education funds, all believing they were in the safest hands on Wall Street. But the secret to Madoff's genius wasn't a complex trading algorithm or insider knowledge. It was shockingly simple and devastatingly fraudulent. He wasn't investing their money at all. The entire operation was a classic Ponzi scheme, the largest in history. Here's how it worked. When new investors gave him money, he would simply deposit it into a bank account. When existing clients wanted to withdraw their profits, he would pay them using the money from the newer investors. It was a giant shell game, a financial house of cards built on a foundation of lies. The glowing account statements showing steady, positive returns? They were complete fabrications, printed in-house and mailed out to create the illusion of a thriving investment portfolio. There were no trades. There were no investments. There was just a constant flow of new money required to pay off the old money. For decades, the illusion held. As long as new money kept flowing in, Madoff could maintain the facade. His personal wealth soared. He lived a life of unimaginable luxury, with a penthouse in Manhattan, a mansion in Palm Beach, a home in the Hamptons, and another in the south of France. He owned private jets and a fleet of yachts, including one aptly named Bull. He was the king of his own world, a world built on other people's money. He exuded confidence and authority, dismissing any questions or doubts with an air of annoyance, as if questioning him was an insult to his intelligence. And for a long time, no one dared to challenge him. A few brave analysts, like Harry Markopolos, tried to blow the whistle, repeatedly presenting evidence to the SEC that Madoff's returns were mathematically impossible. But they were ignored. The legend of Bernie Madoff was too powerful to be toppled by mere numbers. Then came 2008. The global financial crisis hit, and the house of cards began to wobble. The stock market crashed, panic set in, and investors everywhere started pulling their money out. Madoff's clients were no different. They began requesting redemptions, wanting to cash out their investments. At first, it was a trickle, then a flood. They wanted their money back, a staggering $7 billion worth of withdrawals. But there was a problem. The money wasn't there. The constant flow of new investments had dried up due to the crisis. The Ponzi scheme had run out of fuel. The well was dry. Knowing the end was near, Madoff gathered his two sons, Mark and Andrew, who worked in a legitimate part of his firm, and confessed everything. He told them his revered investment business was one big lie. The next day, on December 11, 2008, his sons did the only thing they could do. They went to the authorities. The FBI arrived at his Manhattan apartment, and the man who was once the king of Wall Street was placed in handcuffs. The news sent shockwaves around the world. The scale of the deception was breathtaking. An estimated $65 billion in paper wealth had simply vanished. It never existed. The real cash losses were estimated to be around $18 billion. Thousands of lives were shattered. Families who thought they were set for life were left with nothing. Charities were forced to close their doors. Retirees who had entrusted their entire nest egg to Madoff had to go back to work. The emotional and financial devastation was immeasurable. The fallout was catastrophic. Bernie Madoff was sentenced to 150 years in prison, the maximum possible sentence, a symbolic gesture to reflect the magnitude of his crimes. He died in prison in 2021, leaving behind a legacy of ruin and betrayal. His story is a chilling reminder of the dangers of blind faith and the destructive power of greed. It serves as a brutal lesson that if something seems too good to be true, it probably is. The man who fooled the world ultimately proved that no lie, no matter how grand, can last forever. Thank you for joining us on the Founder's Code. If you found this story compelling, please hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and ring the bell so you don't miss our next deep dive into the figures who shaped our world. We'll see you in the next one.